Do. That's a great little song.
Do, do, do.
It puts me in the mood.
Are my levels okay?
I don't know. Probably not.
I'm sure
They
you'll
never
let me know.
are. Sometimes if they're close enough, they won't notice. It'll be fine. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We're going to do a little show called The Morning Show.
We're back. Sorry.
2 weeks.
Sorry for last week. We
2
had
weeks.
we have a very sick kid. He was sick for a long time. So
Yeah, it was a bummer. And then of course WIA was
WI
the
day.
week before. WI day.
WI day.
But we're back. We're back. You guys thought we were like maybe what do you call it? Pod fading?
Yeah.
Again?
No.
Again?
Nope. Just had a sick kid.
Speaking of WIA, we do have some pictures that
We
can
do.
share with you guys if you want to see
Bobby
them.
C's in the chat.
Bobby C.
Bobby C.
And who else was there? Janine?
Janine.
You guys want to see a couple of pictures real quick
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
WIA?
Is it? Janine, I hope it's okay if we share your photo.
Well, too late now.
Too late.
Because it's happening.
Here we go.
Let us know in the chat if
Who's
it's not.
this? Oh, that's Matt.
So yeah, it was actually super fun because Ava was able to hang out with us and sell
Yep.
some T-shirts, and Matt was there. Got some
Look
great
at.
pictures.
Oh, I hear Oreo.
Here he
Here,
comes.
look at the guy. Look at the guy in the back.
Yeah,
He's
who is that
he's
guy?
all smiling in the back there.
Well, whoever he is, he's very happy.
Hi, Oreo. Who's this?
Oh yeah, Amanda.
Amanda.
So Amanda, she's with Fine Woodworking now, and this was what you call. I was walking by and I did a stealth selfie, and I forgot to smile, and then she was just caught off guard, and it was just a very awkward looking picture.
You were messing with people.
That's
Yeah.
Okay, Gary Rogowski.
Gary.
This photo, as you can see, was taken by Ava with a flattering from the ground angle that everybody always loves. Gary Rogowski.
We had lots of photos. Oh.
Yep, so we got
Wilbur.
Wilbur, and we got Ben, also at Fine Woodworking.
Hey, look at me in
Ava.
the background.
I almost said Ava. Look at Nicole.
That's me.
Good God. You look great back there.
Thanks.
All right. And that's, what's her name?
This is Alex.
Yeah, how do you pronounce her last name?
Dolise, I believe.
Yeah, we
Dolise.
should probably
I'm the
ask
worst
her.
at pronouncing names. Sorry, Alex.
So we're going to see about getting her in the Guild in 2025. She is a fantastic woodworker. You guys got to look her up. She's up in Montana, and I'm afraid that when we go there to film, I may not want to come back.
You want to move to Montana?
Yes, I think I want to move to Montana.
We're not moving anywhere.
I explained that, like, Colorado is kind of a Montana light.
Yeah.
In a way, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I would really probably like
Yeah.
it there.
Then we have.
Matt just keeps getting in all the pictures.
Oh!
And there's Janine. And
She's in the chat too. Yay!
Top of
Oh, look at
Ava's
there's Ava's head.
Oh, man.
And then, do we have Bobby C? There's Bobby C.
Bobby C.
If you see me hugging a tree, what is it? I don't
remember
remember the rest of
punchline.
the shirt.
Does it say, like, call for help? If you see me hugging the tree, call for help.
And then finally,
Presentation. One of
Marc's
the two.
presentation and the hats that I made him give away.
Yeah, that was a super awkward start to a presentation because there was no workbench in that room. So
Yeah.
you got to click that again.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I was just standing there going like, well, this is going to be real hard to use hand tools without a workbench. And finally they got one in there, but then everything was just frazzled trying to get things together. Nicole comes in with all these things to give away. So, but we got it done. And it was a lot of fun. WIA, if you haven't heard of it, this is an old, like I say old, but it's internet years old. A great event from years ago that Pop Woodworking used to put on. Absolutely fantastic. We have great memories of going to those events. But then I guess it became difficult for them to do. The magazines have changed ownership and all that stuff went away. And now they're kind of trying to bring it back under one umbrella, the company that owns like Woodsmith Magazine, Pop Woodworking, and Fine Woodworking. So this was their first go at it. And I think they did a fantastic job. I think there's definitely room to improve and room to grow. But I think the attendance was good. I think people had a good time. The sessions were good. So let's hope they do another one next year.
Daniel was asking what Alex's socials were, so I just quickly put it in the chat. Dolise_woodworks is her Instagram. And well, hello Oreo.
What's up, dude? that's great. She's the real deal.
Yeah,
I
love her.
A great woodworking.
I've been watching
aesthetic.
her for quite a while. I even have a little bookmark category called Future Guild Instructor. She's the only one that's in there.
Ooh, look at my fancy butthole. Yeah, she's definitely keep an eye out for her in 2025.
Yep.
Let's see. Also, I wanted to mention, you might want to throw
Bobby
this
C
link in
said, if you see me hugging a tree, I'm estimating board feet.
there. Oh, there you go.
That's a great shirt.
So I put the link in the notes
Yeah.
for you, Nicole. This is something that I did not expect to do what it did on social media. You probably got a cat that's going to smack some keys around. I put up a video yesterday and then woke up this morning to 115,000 views or something like that.
Yeah.
Which, for our standards, that's, pretty viral as far as we're concerned. But it was just a video showing this little carpet that I use. It's a little durable exterior rated runner, and it's got, nice rubber backing on it. Oreo loves it.
Which one's yours? 1 or 2? They're saying your volume is low.
Oh, jeez. Hold on.
Come here, Oreo.
This is not working for me.
Come here. Just put him in my
Here's
lap.
the problem with my volume being low. If I go any higher, it's going to. Oh,
Should we
it is?
switch?
No, I got it.
Okay.
Your volume is a little high.
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to level us out.
Okay.
Is that better?
Is that better?
A little bit better?
Can you hear Oreo?
I have 2 different microphones, and we really should have the same exact microphone
you got on?
so that we can. He's got all the little cocklebird things on him.
Cockaburs.
Anyway, this thing is awesome. It took off. Everybody seems to be very interested in it. But if you don't like the one that I linked to, just look for an outdoor rated rug, like a little runner like that can go the length of your workbench. It's just great for sanding. I absolutely love it for sanding. So the video I put up on Instagram and shorts and all that stuff, you can check it out. But we'll have the link here for you if you want to go in there and make this company go, what the heck is going on? Why are we selling? Suddenly everyone needs a runner. Okay.
Hey, and speaking of WIA, I wanted to just say thank you to Liz, who came by our little table and gave me one of. She does the illustration for this quilting magazine. So I was like, really.
Yeah, they were super nice.
They were so nice. So thank you, Liz. That was really, really thoughtful. And I'm looking at this going, I like to look at it. I don't know if I can make it, but
There's some
I'm
complicated stuff in there.
Yeah. So maybe one day I'll get back to it. Gosh, Oreo's full of these.
Yeah, he was out there playing.
Yeah.
Okay, so new T-shirts and hats. Do you have?
Speaking of
pictures?
Oreo, I debuted some new shirts and hats at WIA. I can't even say it. Look at that. Look at Oreo in that one.
I'm more interested in that sexy model.
Yeah.
Look at him. He's a natural.
Yeah,
Like,
he is.
make it look like the sun's in your eyes. Okay. Got it.
But this is just 2 of, I think, the 6 designs that I have. And I also have youth sizes. And then, of course, we have a hat. I have 2 styles of hats that you can order, too.
You know what I'm doing there?
You just...
My best Philip Morley impression.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
So,
you can hear my English accent.
If you go to twwstore.com, this is the store on our main website. So it will not, like if you're a guild member, your guild login will not work. It's a separate standalone because not everybody that shops in the store is a guild member and all that stuff.
Tim just mentioned what you actually had an idea and we didn't execute. He says that Marc and Nicole totally could have done Friday Live with their costumes for Trunk or Treat.
Did we put the photo in? No. No, I'll put a link. For a brief moment before Mateo started feeling sick, we got a family picture of our Trunk or Treat costume last Friday in the evening. We were Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So,
we make a good Bob's Burgers like profile.
Yeah, we do.
Except for we don't have
Tina.
a Tina.
We don't have Tina.
Well, she's on a date
We don't have
with Jimmy Jr.
Yeah, Jimmy Jr. I dressed up as Tina back in 2014.
Yeah.
At
Dragon
Con. At Dragon Con. So
you look so weird with black hair.
I do look weird with black hair.
It weirds me out. I'm real uncomfortable with it.
Is it like you're cheating on your wife?
No, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong for you in so many ways, but it's an adorable costume.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel weird.
It makes you feel tingly.
No, Nicole, not. I'm not in that direction. It just feels weird.
Okay.
It just feels.
I put it up
wrong.
on my social media. I made a burger, like a wearable burger as well. So I'll put a link in the show notes.
Pretty good.
To our costumes. It was fun.
Oreo's making biscuits over here.
Yeah, I feel Mateo was trying so hard to feel better, but he lasted maybe 30 minutes, and then I want to go home.
Yeah.
So it was just me and Louise at the trunk.
Right. We got lots of questions. So
Lots of questions.
Here's the deal. We have some pre-selected questions from folks who support us over on Patreon, as well as here on YouTube. And we will have all these questions to go through, but you can always ask a question in the chat. So use the chat. If you want to use the super thanks, that's a way to get your question like right to the top. You don't have to do that though. We will collect the questions as they come, try to get to all of them. And let's go. If you have questions for Oreo, he is not taking questions at the moment.
He's
because he doesn't have a microphone.
Just biting my mic cord.
Okay. First question I have here from Richard. Do you have a recommendation for a bench grinder? My use will be limited, and I really wanted a grinding stone and on one side and a wire wheel on the other. Since I won't use it every day, I don't want to spend more than $250, and I don't want cheap China junk that will just vibrate. I've never seen you use one, not even sure you have one, but my comments, let's see, but any comments you make would be helpful to me. I plan on occasional varied grinding applications, not sharpening and general cleanup with the wire wheel. On the fence, if I could justify it. Okay, so anyway, Rich is looking for a bench grinder. Now the one I have is actually an old Delta model. I've looked at the current Delta models and they look very different, and the reviews do not reflect the quality of what I currently have. So I did a little bit of a digging and I found a Wen model, W-E-N, that's over on Amazon. Price looks decent, and what you're really looking for with the grinder, I mean, a light is nice. I don't think a light is absolutely necessary, but it could be helpful. Sturdy platforms. You really want sturdy platforms and obviously enough heft that this thing is going to run true and not vibrate too much. You may be using it for more sharpening tasks in the future, just depending on what you do. So you want to be able to put different types of like CBN wheels and different types of sharpening medium on there as well. So the Wen model looks like one, like if I were buying it today, that's the one that I would get. That said, I coincidentally just yesterday got an email from Beaver Industrial Supply about their Laguna. I guess Laguna just came out. I think it's called the G8. Now you said there's a limit, like you don't want to spend too much money on this thing, but just look at it. It looks like if you just want the best.
Is it out now?
Yeah, it's the G8 Laguna. It just looks like a badass grinder. I think it's not in the scope of what Richard asked me about.
Yeah.
But it's pretty nice. I mean, I don't get excited about grinders, but
if you
this one did it for
are a Guild Plus member, you get 5% off at Beaver Tools.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It doesn't apply to Laguna. Do we know that, or is it just Festival that's limited? Let's be safe.
Yeah.
If you're a Guild Plus subscriber, you get a coupon, but it might be limited.
All right, Oreo.
So double check.
What are you doing, man?
Get out of here!
Get out of here!
You cackabas.
Yeah, you know I have cockaburs all over me.
Okay. Les's question.
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah, sure.
I just was giving you a chance to throw any other ones in.
No. I don't have any. If you have questions in the chat, I'll star them and come back to them when he's done talking.
Okay.
That's how this works.
I'll never be done talking.
You'll never be done.
This is my moment. I've been waiting all week. Les had a question. He says, I'm about to purchase an 18-inch 3-horsepower bandsaw for my shop. The stated max blade width is 1 1/4 inches, and the minimum is 1/8 inch. Okay, yeah. Would you recommend getting 3 blades? I was thinking a general purpose blade around 3/4, 1/8 inch blade for curves, and an 1 1/4 inch resaw blade. Is that just too much? My current and only bandsaw is a POS 9-inch benchtop model. POS is not a brand, by the way. Thank you for any advice you can offer. Okay.
By the way, Laguna bench grinder works with a discount.
Okay, now turn it into an affiliate link.
Yep.
What is it? $249?
$249, and with the discount, it's $12.40.
See, now this does fit his requirements because he said he doesn't want to spend more than $250.
Yeah.
So while I'm talking, go ahead and turn that into a link so Daddy can make some money.
I don't know how to turn it into a link.
You go into our affiliate document.
Oh gosh. Okay.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
Anyway,
all right.
We're just trying to make a living here.
We're trying to keep this channel on.
Okay.
Keep the lights on. Is that the new lights on?
Yeah, we're just trying to keep the live stream going. All right, here's the thing. 3 blades at a bandsaw sounds like a nightmare. I hate changing bandsaw blades so much that I bought a second bandsaw to prevent me from having to do it. So my recommendation in his situation, he says he's got a 9-inch benchtop model. Even if it's a POS, it still can cut curves. You know, and if you're cutting curves, a lot of times, yeah.
Is it the bad word?
Yes.
Okay.
Even if it's not
Point of sale.
Yes, a point of sale bandsaw. If you throw the smaller range blade on there, maybe like a 1/4 inch blade, you should still be able to cut curves on that thing, especially tight curves, right? So I would still keep that little guy outfitted for those curve cuts. Then for the big bandsaw, I would just focus on resaws and larger curves. I don't think you need an 1.25 inch resaw blade. I think a lot of times people overdo it with the resaw blade, and the wider that blade is, the more you are narrowing your usage down to just resawing. Because you get an 1.25 inch blade, what kind of radius curve do you think you can cut with that? I mean, you really can't, it's tough. So I would say 3/4 is a better choice there, because now you could do your resaws, but you can also do some very large radius curves, but I might even go smaller than that. Now I've got a actually it's a little under 3/4. I got a little bit. So I generally don't think you need to go as wide as a lot of people do. When you're doing resaws, you can resaw with a 1/2 inch blade just fine. There's no reason you need 3/4, certainly no reason you need an 1.25 inch. So if you're talking about a bandsaw that's gonna kind of do it all and you don't want to have to change the blade all the time, that's my recommendation. Try to hit something like a 1/2 inch wide blade. You're gonna be totally fine. Now, when I learned about bandsawing and resawing from David Marc's, spent some time in his shop, and I was initially amazed when I saw like his biggest bandsaw, which was massive, had a 1/2 inch blade on it. And I was under the impression that if you're going to do resaws, you need a really big wide blade, and you just don't. And 1/2 inch just has a lot less friction. They're a little bit less expensive, and they cut curves as well as do your straight resaws. So that's my recommendation, at least for now, until you have the budget to maybe get a second bigger bandsaw, and then you have more options that way. But this combination of a big old bandsaw and a cheap, smaller bandsaw for curves, that's a great combo. But no need for a ton of blades. All right, you got anything else before I go into the next one?
No, got nothing. Just everybody's talking amongst themselves.
Oh, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Enjoy the cookies and coffee.
Oh,
They're
actually,
free.
Troy just said, for the bandsaw blade question, what about the teeth pitch?
I think you can get away with, multiple options. I can't remember. Honestly, most of the time I'm aiming for like 3 or 4 TPI. I want a fairly efficient cut. Especially when I'm doing resawing, and I can't remember if it's a hook tooth or a skip tooth. I can't remember all the different kinds of tooth configurations. But for me personally, it doesn't really matter that much.
Good to know.
There's a lot more pickier people than me out there. Alan.
What?
Yes, surprisingly. On some things, I am extremely anal I'm anal about the things I'm anal about. So it's not everything. Some things I'm incredibly not picky.
Okay.
All right, drink your coffee. Thanks for bringing me one too, by the way.
I did not have time to
That's okay.
stop at Dunkin' today.
Do you want to know how I woke up 2 mornings in a row? So yesterday, Mateo wakes up. I don't know what got into him. He decided he was going to make breakfast.
I was like, who are you, kid?
So he's in there. Now, look, he's 12 years old, going on 13. I just hear... Like, that's how I woke up. I'm like, all right, well, he made breakfast. It's super cute. I told Nicole about it. I'm like, it's so funny. He's making all kinds of noise. But yeah, I got up a little bit early. This morning, 5:30?
6. No, I woke up at 6.
6 o'clock? Okay. Same thing's happened. And I'm like, I just told him yesterday, when you're cooking in the morning, you got to be gentle. Like, don't throw pots and pans down. Don't slam the dishwasher door closed. And like, he's up, baking again for some reason, or making food again. It's Nicole. I'm like, thanks, Nicole.
Making baked spaghetti. There's a teacher conference going on, and I signed up to help organize the teacher lunch. So I'm making baked spaghetti, potato soup, garlic bread. It's 6 in the morning.
And let me tell you, if there's a smell that makes you want to get started with your day right, it's garlic bread. That was the most unappetizing smell.
I know.
To have first thing in the morning. I'm like, let me wash down that garlic bread with some coffee and maybe a bowl of cereal. All right, let's go.
Hold on, wait.
What?
Jason wants, since you're still talking about bandsaw blades, what's the point of a skip tooth blade?
I don't even remember anymore. Most of the times, that was something I used to talk about quite a bit because I was parroting what was told to me. That you would go either with the hook tooth configuration, a skip tooth. Just Google it. You'll find out the differences, and there are differences. But I could tell you, in the scale of importance, that information has left my brain for more important information. Just to give you an idea of how little I think about it, right? It's just basically the shape of the tooth. Sometimes it's got like a little bit more of like a cat claw or a curve. Other times it's angled, right? It's the shape of the tooth, and it does have an impact. I'm just saying that the impact is so small, I forgot about it. Okay.
Hey, I noticed that you're wearing your Greatest Generation shirt
am.
again. Are you trying to get their attention?
I'm just waiting for someone to say it. And it's fine that they don't. It's not my show. I'm just putting out the bait and trying to find friends. That's all I'm trying to do.
If you know,
Okay.
what he's talking about.
Alan H. says, I'm likely going to replace my 25-year-old Milwaukee sliding miter saw. Considering a Festool Capex or the Makita 12-inch or 10-inch dual bevel, accuracy, repeatability, capacity, laser guide, and dust collection are important to me. It'll be used as a miter saw at a miter saw station. Budget is important, but not a hurdle. I do admit Festool's price seems excessive, and it is. Have I left out any that I should also consider at that level? Advice would be appreciated. So here's the deal with the Capex. I've gone no Capex. I've gone with Capex. I've tried Milwaukee. I've tried Makita. I've tried DeWalt. And the honest answer here is, there's two honest answers. Number one, you don't need a Capex. You could do anything you need to do using any other brand, and I think some of the Makita ones are quite nice. Even though when I tested one of the new models that had like improved dust collection, there was a fundamental flaw in it, and I don't know if they've addressed that, but that was years ago. So those other saws will do the job. They will get the job done. It's a miter saw. It's going to work just fine. But the other truth here is there's the Capex, and
Your thing is tickling me.
that was on purpose. Sorry.
It's all right.
Am I tickling you with my aglet?
It's tickling me.
Isn't that what that's called?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't have
I think isn't that the
No,
aglet?
no. The little plastic thing around the tip of the
Yeah,
shoelace.
you don't have one of
I don't
those,
have
huh?
any
Yeah,
aglets.
no.
Isn't that a word, guys? Am I just making that
you're
up?
Very.
All right, listen. Fine. I'll take it off. The hell was I saying?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
So the other thing is if you look at the scale, the other truth is that there's the Capex and there's everybody else. The Capex does certain things, creature comforts that are just better. So I find myself when I have a Capex, I will often stop using my crosscut sled at the table saw because I find the crosscuts at the Capex are just accurate enough, and it's faster to do it that way. When I don't have the Capex, I find that the cut quality just suffers a little bit. It can kind of wander a little bit. It's still a great, they're still great miter saws, but they just don't have what the Capex has. Now, is that worth the asking price? That's going to be up to you. But unfortunately, they priced it very, very high, and I do believe that the Capex is truly the best in breed of that type of tool. But do you absolutely need it? No. If the budget is there, should you get it? Probably.
David D is in the chat, and he says,
David
for
D.
the miter saw, I'm very happy with the Bosch slider that pushes right up against the wall. The Capex seems nice, but I decided it wasn't necessary for me right now.
And David came to a perfectly logical conclusion. And the Bosch Glide is a fantastic saw. It's the one that's got like the double articulating arm. And I think for people with the sliders, saws that can go right against the wall, if you don't know what that means, is a lot of times the bearing guides and the bars will go behind the saw with some slider designs. But there's a few on the market, like the Capex, the Bosch Glide, maybe there's probably others at this point, that don't ever go any further out back. Everything just gets pulled forward. So that's something to consider.
I got a question here. Well, actually, it's more of a comment. Aapo Apina is in the chat. So regarding tool purchases, I've never regretted buying a too good quality tool, even though I don't use them often. I always try to get the rest of my life tool if I can, money-wise.
You gotta be smart about it, If you take that attitude, and if you got, all right, come here. If you have a decent amount of money to spare, you could do that all the time. But if you have to be smart and you're budgeting, it's tough to take that stance with every tool you buy because sometimes you're just you're putting out a lot of money, and then the next thing comes along and you have to do you always get the best? It's not everybody can do that, but that's kind of I think the way he thinks though.
Well, especially if you're new to a hobby. So regardless, woodworking, sewing, crocheting, whatever, you can spend a lot of money and then go,
Well, it's
I'm
also,
done with it.
at that stage, you're also typically taking people's word for it. So you go, okay, well, I'm going to buy the best table saw I can right now for the money, so I'm going to get this one. But you're new, so how do you know that's actually the best?
Right.
You know, you may have just listened to some Yahoo on YouTube, and it may not be the best for you, right?
I got really lucky with my sewing machine. I knew I wanted to sew a certain type of quilt.
Yeah.
And so the lady that taught how to do t-shirt quilting, she recommended the Juki. I've loved that thing. It's been
Love me that Juki.
Juki. It's a great machine. So, but it was expensive. It was $600 at the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Greg Batt's question.
Greg!
Do you have books that you would recommend on furniture design process? Also, could you provide some insight into your approach when designing a new piece of furniture? Maybe your next book could be Essential Hybrid Furniture Design. Boy, the day that I write a book on furniture design is the day that Oreos fly out of my butt.
It's not going to happen.
The cookies or the cat.
Yeah.
Either one. 2 books I'm going to recommend. You know, there's probably other great resources, but we're not going to spend a ton of time on that. By Hand and Eye, which is a Lost Art Press
I
publication.
love that it says, do not buy on Amazon.
Yes, I put a note there to not buy on Amazon because I think the book may have gone out of print for a period of time, which made some Amazon resellers put it up there. Like, we've seen people do that with my book.
Yeah.
And
I think I've seen that.
it's the weirdest thing.
With like old guild projects on DVD. Like $99. I'm like,
Yeah.
don't do that.
So anyway, go directly, we're going to give you the link. Go directly to Chris Schwarz's Lost Art Press website and get the book from them.
He'll probably even sign it.
I don't know, maybe.
He was signing a lot of them.
But that's not his book.
Oh, that's not his
It's
book. Never mind.
George and Jim, I
Okay.
believe, wrote that.
Okay.
Anyway, By Hand and Eye is really good. Then also, this is maybe a little bit more, I don't know how you describe it. It's not dead on, like, here's how to design furniture. It's one man's, like, sort of life story around the furniture he builds, and that's James Krenov, The Impractical Cabinet Maker. That is one that I think you can buy on Amazon. I think
You
it's
have
a
that one.
fair price. Yeah, it's a very good book, but just getting inside his head and understanding, you know, why he makes the decisions that he does, why he uses the joinery he uses, stuff like that.
Hey, I just want to say, I think Greg's coming to one of the classes.
Really?
So
Oh.
that's who I was trying to see if the stool fit in a piece of luggage.
Yeah.
And I need to take measurements of how long the legs are.
Okay.
So
Well, we have those. Okay, got one here from Kenneth Davis. He says, I'm starting a new assembly work table around 4x8 with a torsion box top. I would like to make the torsion box internal support structure. You guys know what that is, right? The torsion boxes are basically 2 skins, and on the inside it's almost like a honeycomb structure. It makes for a very lightweight, comparatively speaking, but resistant to sag sort of structure for assembly. So he wants to make it from 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch MDF, 3 inches wide. I'm stuck on how to make the half lap dados slots where they cross each other. They are too long for the bandsaw or table saw, I think. What do you think about gang clamping and using a router with a deep enough cut? I also have a 12-inch Bosch miter saw that has a partial adjustable stop, but never used it for doing a partial cut. So the grid work on the inside of a torsion box, what he's talking about is essentially notching each piece so that they kind of, you can have long pieces with a bunch of notches and they nest together. You've probably seen, I don't know, like organizers in a drawer, pre-made organizers or whatever that are made like this. So I don't know, I'm kind of going to answer the question he didn't ask, and that is, why do you need to do that? I don't think you need to do that. Now you can, and it certainly is going to work just fine, but I'm going to show you a clip. We're going to take a trip back in time. It's going to be awful for a few minutes.
it's going to be very pixelated.
But I'm going to show you what I did on mine,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
not what he's talking about.
All right, here we go.
Using my 7 1/4 inch spacer, I begin assembling my grid. Once again, I use glue and brad nails. I install 5 short grid pieces per row in the same manner. I use the 7 1/4 inch spacer as a guide and nail the long grid piece to the short grid pieces as well as the outer frame. Assemble each row in the same fashion. Notice how I have to toe nail the small grid pieces into place. notice how I'm using clamps to keep the grid perfectly square. Also notice that there are a few oopsies in my grid.
Oopsie.
Nicole's sitting there messing with her hair. She's like, this is so fun watching this.
I didn't realize I was going to be so short. I was like, oh, you made a mistake. You made a mistake.
So, yeah, you can see the way I did it. It's glued and nailed. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that, because what's going to happen after that point is you're going to put a skin on top and you're going to put a glue line on every one of those pieces. When you do that, all of those pieces that make up that structure inside, they're not going anywhere. They're held against each other with nails and glue. But do they need interlocking joinery? Absolutely not. They're going to be totally fine with just glue and nails. So that's why I'm saying I'm not actually answering his question on how to do it, because I wouldn't do it that way. But if you are going to definitely do it, I mean, I think his idea at the miter saw is probably a good one, because you're talking about longer pieces and you want to make repeatable, accurate cuts and notches. So, but again, I just don't think you should do it that way. I think you just cut them to size and nail them in there, glue them, and hopefully you don't have one that's like obscenely crooked, like like I had in there. Still work though.
Yeah.
Even if it is crooked, it still works. Because again, as long as these pieces, nothing raises higher than the rest, they have to be at the same height. How they join to one another is completely irrelevant.
Can you hide stuff in there so later on, years, you take
like
it apart?
a time capsule.
Like,
how do you know I didn't? I may have.
like a little tiny skeleton.
I gave my first one to Greg back in Arizona,
Greg,
and I think
you wanted it back so badly.
Well, I asked him if he wasn't using it, that I had a new shop space and I would take it back.
You're like,
he said no.
He said,
you cannot have it back.
Please, can I have my thing
which is
back?
fair, totally fair.
Yeah. Hey, I got another question, John. I'm building the Krenov stand from the Guild.
Ooh.
Was it 12
quarter?
Lumber is hard to get around me. Can I build up the thickness of legs with the same type of wood as the main cabinet? Walnut and cherry is wild. Is the wild. Wood.
Is wild.
He put an I in it. I was void, wood, I don't know.
Can I build up the thickness of the legs? Yeah. I don't see why you can't build up the thickness. Whenever you're doing a leg that has a cut through on it, and the reason the legs on the Krenov cabinet are so thick and that I recommend 12 quarter, and it sucks because you're actually wasting a lot of material. The leg goes all the way up, and then at the top, it kind of has a little horn that goes like this. So the radius of that curve is dictated by how much material you have to play with. So there are ways to construct that leg, and you might even, who asked the question?
It was John.
So you might even be able to do something a little bit wacky here, John. You can go with your post from whatever material you can get. Even 8 quarter might do it. I don't remember the exact dimensions, but only glue on like adder block material at the top. So when it starts to kick out and that curve happens, you have enough material there to do it. That might be something to look into. So you're not wasting everything that lives below that curve. But to answer your question, you can definitely do a lamination of multiple pieces. Just be aware that as soon as you start to cut through those glue joints, they do become visible. And that's not the end of the world. I've got a piece in here in the office that was early in my woodworking. I didn't have enough material to make the curve I wanted, so I did a glue up. And you see the glue line. It's not the end of the world, but it's also not the greatest looking thing in the world.
Charles Thompson in the chat.
Use.
Speaking of bandsaws, source for bandsaw blades.
Guides.
And our guides, sorry. And our cool block or other fancy pricing guides that really have much better than good old.
They can be, and I think honestly, if you're getting
roller bearing guides,
if you're doing good results with what you have, I don't think you should just go and just replace for the hell of it. If you are having trouble with tracking and you're having maybe a lot of sparks, which can happen with certain guides, you might look into replacing. The first step is if you've got those little I don't even know what the stock ones are made out of, but you could just replace the little blocks with cool blocks. And they're little white, low friction, low heat blocks that can guide your blade. But if you really want to get into it, take a look at Carter products. Carter, for years, has been the go-to resource for when you really want to just give yourself a nice upgrade at the bandsaw. They're easy, adjustable, bearing, guided guide setups. And I think they have them for just about every saw on the market. Alex Snodgrass was the one who introduced me to those. He put a few on my saws. I like bearings, ideally. That said, I've got a SCM S440P bandsaw here. and I have a Harvey Ambassador. Both of those came with really good, decent quality bearing guides on them, and I haven't felt the need to replace them. So I'm going to say, yes, if you have an old system with blocks and it's causing you some kind of headache, then yeah, definitely look for the upgrade. But if it's working just fine for you, why spend the money?
I'm going to celebrate Joe. He finally made it back to the live show.
Yay, Joe! Thanks, man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
We celebrate you.
Bobby C also said ceramic blocks.
Okay.
Is that what you said?
Aren't the ceramic ones the cool blocks?
I think.
Maybe?
I don't know.
Isn't that what the cool blocks are made of?
Who knows?
Who can tell? Who can say? You know?
Google it.
Just Google it. It's going to be, if there were titles
There
on
were
these
titles.
shows, that would be the title of this one.
Oreo, man, he's just chilling on your lap.
Hopefully he's not dropping ticks on my lap.
No,
Not really tick season
I was
anymore.
gonna say not really.
Cold
But
scares them
Dennis
away.
does want to know what's the deal with shop cats. You have one, Logan W has one, and me too. I think it's just the nature of animals.
I think the problem is cats. Turns out they need us for food.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
need us
Yeah.
to, pay for their bills.
Called the cat
And then
distribution system.
Yeah, they run off and just live their lives.
Yeah.
We're just tools in their tool chest. What are you gonna do? Okay, I got one from Striper Seeker.
Actually, you have two.
Oh boy.
Where's the other one? Is it on
It's
the back?
stuck to the back.
Oh, it's on the back. Okay.
Okay. I hope you and the family are well. I signed up for Ava's Makeup Vanity Desk course
Yay.
on the Guild.
Thank you.
We should have a video on the free site coming out, and I think I'm going to release it today.
Gotcha.
Anxious to get started. My issue is this. What is an easy way to get freeform dados and grooves lined up across different boards? I built my granddaughter a shadow box like the ones with multiple shelves at varying heights and the little cubby boxes, etc. I can't post a pic. I wanted to challenge myself and work on skill development. I decided to make the dados and grooves to set the walls and sides in. It came out okay, but it was a bear trying to align them and square everything up as I went along. Any tips for matching up the dados? So I did read this ahead of time, and I kind of wanted to get a little bit more clarification from him because I'm not 100% sure what the problem is. Typically when I'm making dados in something like a side, and something on the scale of the vanity is fairly small, I'm typically making them at the table saw with a fence, with a miter gauge, and those things are keeping everything consistent. So if I have two sides, I'm going to be cutting all of my stuff, the same identical mirror image data will be cut on both pieces in the same fence position. It's automatically in the same spot. What are you laughing at?
He blends it into you, but
You can't really see him.
sometimes hit his head and he's like, ugh, ugh.
Like that?
Yeah.
So, the consistency and repeatability is just built into the process. So I feel like I'm missing something as part of your explanation for what you're having specific trouble with. And hit me up, via email and we can go into a little more detail. But thankfully he has a second part to his question that maybe I can help him with. Is it normal to have a dado with a raised ridge in the middle? I was doing a 9/16 dado with a stacked blade, and for some reason, this time I had a ridge of about an 1/8 inch wide in the middle of the dado. I moved the chippers around and the shim as well in the stack, and it still produced the same ridge. I made a little sanding block to fit inside the dado and sanded them flat, but I was wondering if you had any insight into this. That's weird. It's not weird that he's got a little ridge. It's weird that when he shifted things around, that the ridge was still in the same place. Typically, that just means that your chippers and your outer cutters are not all aligned perfectly, and the tips of the teeth are not in the same exact plane. Usually not that big of a deal, but a full 1/8 of an inch is significant. So what I would be doing is looking at your blades and just making sure that everything, there's no chipped teeth. Maybe they aren't actually the same diameter, they're a little bit off. But even with a really, really high-end dado stack, you could still get ridges and things, especially from those alternating bevel teeth that are on the outside cutters. And this is one of my favorite use cases for a router plane. The router plane is fantastic. You set it to whatever should be the lowest point of that dado, and then you just kind of zip this thing across. Even without ridges, you'd be surprised at how often when you cut dados, this is actually something that's in my hybrid woodworking presentation. When you cut dados, they aren't even because your workpieces maybe rise up a little bit. And one thing I noticed when I was doing my demo, all of my test pieces, which I didn't verify before doing my demo, all my test pieces kind of had the same pattern. and it was a pattern that told me in the process of cutting, when I first initiate the cut, a dado stack making a 3/4 inch dado, even if it's just a 1/4 inch deep, that's a lot of force and a lot of pressure lifting the piece up. So it isn't until I get a little bit more over the blade that I'm getting full contact and riding all the way through. So then when I flipped that guy over and I was doing my demo showing how this thing works, each one of my dados, my samples, all had exhibited the same problem, right? Because of my personal habit of not pushing down hard enough to resist the force of the dado stack. So all that said, one of these guys is going to make sure that your dados, and it's quick too. I mean, yes, it's a hand tool, but man, it's fast. Making sure they are all even and consistent depth all the way down. This also would work great for your problem with those raised grooves.
It's a router, what is it called?
Router plane.
Router plane.
Yep, great tool.
William said, have the outer blades been sharpened?
Yeah, so that's something that
Separate
happens
from the inner blades?
over time, or even if they were sharpened at the same time, if the person wasn't careful enough, maybe removed a little bit more material on one thing than another, you could have a chipper that's not quite the same size. Like as soon as you start changing the dimensions, weird stuff can happen.
Really weird.
Really weird.
I've been collecting questions as you've been reading those questions. Terry
'cause
wants
I'm
to
done.
know, can you share the recipe for DIY water locks? What's he talking about?
Well, Water Locks is a brand of finish.
Yes.
It's like a resin modified tongue oil, but acts pretty much like a wiping varnish. No, I mean, they actually...
Do you even have a DIY water locks? Do you think he's talking about the blotch control?
No.
No.
Because it has nothing to do with water locks. So they make a good product, and how to actually reproduce that, I think the closest you're going to be able to get is to find your highest quality varnish you could find. You know, like a good quality oil-based varnish, dilute it with a little bit of mineral spirits, and that's kind of what Water Locks is. Now that's, again, not exactly, but that's going to get you in the same ballpark because it really is kind of just a wiping varnish. It's just a super high quality wiping varnish. When you make varnish, you have different ingredients, right? And one thing that can impact the behavior of the finished varnish product is the quality and type of oil that was used to make it. So if you are using... Loud trucks. I should have closed that door. If you're using a really low quality cheap oil and then you heat treat it and do all the things you need to turn it into a varnish product, the end product is not as good as if you started with a higher quality oil that tends to make a more expensive final product, but one that just has better working properties, looks better, applies better. And that's where Water Locks is a little bit different in that sense. So how do you reproduce that in a DIY fashion? I don't know exactly how you would do
Well,
that.
the way he asked the question, it was like, the recipe. Can you share the recipe? Like you had one.
Yeah.
You don't have one.
No.
No. Okay. Just making sure.
No, I mean, because I guess the question comes from like, can you make your own armor seal? Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you can get theoretically close by just buying some min-wax polyurethane and diluting it with mineral spirits. Now you're in the ballpark. Is it the same as armor seal? No, it's not. It's quality of materials, the kind of materials, and in the process of actually making it that makes it unique. But you can get close, just not the same.
Jesus is in the chat and said, have you used the Woodpecker Cam Align doweling jig? Considering this, the Dowel Max or the Jessam, and they're pretty similar in price.
The only one of those three I have experience with is Dowel Max. And in fact, the video that's going to come out today on Ava's Vanity shows me using the Dowel Max for like the first time.
Oh, you're releasing that today?
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm going to go with the Friday release, see how that goes.
Sweet.
This cat has just melted on my lap. It's formed to the shape of my lap. So I can't really comment. I love Jessam. They make great products. Theirs is probably really good. The Woodpeckers one, again, no experience whatsoever. But I do know the Dowel Max was really easy to use, good results, and I would use again. 5 stars, would recommend.
There you go.
I think it's good.
Hope that helps, Jesus. Cam, 87. Hi there.
Camacho.
Camacho.
Maybe? Camacho F87?
Yeah, Camacho. Hey, hi there. Have you thought about making a guild course building furniture, not cabinets, with a track saw as, what is it? As the main saw?
That sounds awful. You really need me to do that? You want me to do that? You want to see me suffer?
The track saw. Well,
So here's the
some
thing.
people don't have a table saw,
Of course, but they should get one.
but they might not have the space.
But if you are working with solid wood,
This guy.
the track saw would not be my recommended solution
Yeah.
for cuts. So like there are people who say, well, I don't need a table saw. I'm just going to go with a 100% MFT setup. That's the multifunction table that Festool makes. Integrates really, really nicely with their track saw. That's great for sheet goods, and it answers all of my questions for sheet goods. How are you going to cut this? How are you going to cut that? You could do that with the MFT and the track saw. Where things fall apart at the MFT is when doing solid wood, because a lot of solid wood furniture just requires a different tool set. We end up with the jointer, the planer. If you're making that cut after the joiner and planer, you go to the table saw, you've got a built-in parallel edge, right? So that you can use your jointed edge up against the table saw fence, and then you can cut it down to width. Doing that with a track saw, it's not that it can't be done, it just doesn't sound very fun, right? Because the track saw, like you would have to have, I don't even know how well it would work, but they have a parallel guide, which is something that allows you to kind of keep a fixed distance from another edge, and you pass it along and make your cuts that way. So I'm being a baby about this. I'm being kind of picky in my personal preferences, but it just sounds like running in sand. Like it can be done. It's just really not the way I would prefer or the way I would recommend somebody do it. Yeah, it's tough, and I don't mean to sound like a party pooper there, because I know in some cases that might be all someone has.
Yeah.
But in that case, if all they have is a track saw, I mean that's a pretty expensive tool.
Yeah. They might not have the space.
Let's really challenge it and just use a regular circular saw and watch me get really uncomfortable really fast. So yeah, it can be done. It's just I don't think Festool track saw and MFT when I think solid wood furniture. Those two don't, they're in two different worlds for me.
Hey, guess who's in the chat?
I don't know.
Connell Wright.
Oh my goodness.
Famous Instagram meme sender for both of us. Hey, Marco and Nicole, I would like to hear Marc's thoughts on bandsaw riser blocks. Did we just talk about that?
Nope.
Nope. Never mind.
So a riser block is a little chunk of steel that typically goes on your smaller format 14-inch bandsaws to give you a little bit more height so you could fit taller workpieces under the blade. I've had the 14-inch saws with them and without. They work fine for me, but a lot of people do advise against them because it adds just another joint and another variable in the mix that kind of makes the saw maybe a little less dependable. But honestly, I had a Jet that had one and then a Powermatic that had a riser block. I honestly never had any problems with it. So I'm just kind of like spreading third-party information here that I've heard of people having issues after they've added them. But I personally didn't. So.
The ones that you had came with the saw.
The Powermatic did. I think the Jet I had to add.
Did you add?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I guess I can't speak any more from experience other than to say that it wasn't a problem for me. But do your research and just see if people do, especially with your brand, your exact model, do people report problems?
We have a Spazin. How do you sharpen your router plane blades? I picked up a plane from Marketplace, but intimidated by how to sharpen the blade. You take yours out, right?
Yeah. So this is something, I actually cover this in my best-selling book, Hybrid Woodworking.
We're back in stock, so if you would like a signed copy, you can head to TWW store, and I'll ship it out to you.
You guys want to hear something cool?
Yeah.
Can I brag a little bit?
Sure.
I try not to do
I
that.
like it.
Can I toot my own horn?
Toot it.
Hold on.
Toot, toot.
I'm going to toot my own horn.
You gotta, I don't know if that's the right toot.
It sounds like a good one for me. How about this one?
There, that's
I'm gonna toot my own horn.
more.
That's more me.
Yeah, that's more appropriate.
Okay, so how you sharpen these really depends.
You were gonna say, "What are you tooting your horn?"
Oh, see how quickly I forget to even do it. I have no follow through. We were just doing some research for looking at numbers, and I think lifetime sales for hybrid and then also essential. But let's talk about hybrid joinery or hybrid woodworking. I think we're at like 35,000
copies have been sold of that book.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely
and I think
crazy.
65,000 total between essential joinery and hybrid woodworking.
Something like that.
Yeah. Something like that.
You know how much money I've made? $35. That's the joy of being an author. So when you're sharpening these, it kind of depends. Now, sometimes if you have the Lee Valley one, you actually have a little foot on there. This blade is removable. So you take this screw out of there, and now you actually have this little teeny tiny thing, and they will sell you, or I believe it comes with the router, a little stick that you could screw that to, so that now you actually have something that's almost like a small chisel, and you could sharpen that guy up. If you have one that is fully formed and fixed and you can't take the thing off, you now have an L-shaped monstrosity that you have to sharpen the bevel. The only way that I know to do this is to go on the edge of your workbench, take your stone right to the edge of the workbench, and you're gonna run this guy with the post down, and that's how you sharpen it. Like, it's unfortunate that that's the only thing I could think of to do it, but it's a weird shape, and that's how you gotta get it done. I will do a little bit of a plug for, where are they? I don't know if I could reach it.
What are you looking for?
The Melbourne Tools version. Nope, that's another Lee Valley one. All right, sorry, kitty cat.
Get out of here, Oreo. Is it right there? Is that it?
No. Darn it. It's
Where's
over
it
there
at?
somewhere. Anyway, it's not
Yeah.
that important. The Melbourne Tools router plane has a bed angle, right? So they actually have a big, a big blade on there that looks almost like a mortise chisel that just had the handle cut off. So it is completely removable, and then you could sharpen that by hand. So if you're in the market, now he already has one, so it's not going to help him, but anyone who's in the market for a router plane, if you want easy sharpening, take a look at the Melbourne Tools version, because that alone makes it worth looking at, because it's just so easy to sharpen that compared to sharpening crap like this.
Aapo Pino said, I've used credit card size diamond plates to sharpen small router blades.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so there's diamond, kind of like DMT brand diamond sharpening plates that you could use if it's hard to get to a particular bevel. Sometimes you can hold the tool in a fixed position and then take one of these little cards, and he's right, they're about the size of a credit card. Sometimes you can get them on little sticks, and typically they're used for sharpening like drill bits and router bits, but there's no reason you can't, if you have a steady hand, use that to sharpen an edge like this, but you're taking the sharpened medium to the tool as opposed to the other way around.
Kizzy's in the chat.
Kizzy?
And has
Faux
a
shizzy.
big problem.
Oh boy.
Has anyone ever had spray foam explode everywhere? If so, how do I get it off coated tools and machines? So a bunch of people in the chat are saying acetone.
Sounds great.
Acetone has worked for me, but they said, I'm using acetone, but it's taking the coating off.
Yeah. Well,
So,
it's acetone.
is it acetone?
It's going to be pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Somebody said something about graffiti remover. Have you heard, what about magic erasers? Maybe?
I feel like dried spray
Yeah,
foam
yeah.
will
You can't
probably
just-
just eat apart a magic eraser.
Yeah, peel it off.
It'll tear it up.
Liquid Rock says, yeah, anything will remove that foam, will take off everything else.
Yeah, it's-
Maybe try graffiti removing spray.
Okay, yeah, you guys have more answers to this than I would have. Anytime I've gotten that stuff either on me, on clothes, or anything else, it's a nightmare. Do not recommend.
Bobby C even has you might want to contact the manufacturer.
Yeah,
too.
they may have a solution
Yeah.
for sure.
A secret,
Good idea.
A secret solution.
But that is a problem. Like, it gets on your tools or
Yeah.
something, and you go to wipe it off, and then acetone just starts eating the paint job. No fun.
No fun. All right. Well, that is all of my questions. It is
No way.
almost the top of the hour.
What else we have? Anything else?
Oreo. Oh, look at him. He found
he's
a
up
little.
on his,
he found a little place.
Yeah, that's one of his.
cute.
That's one of his spots.
So yeah, order a T-shirt. I actually have pretty much everything in stock, even though it does say pre-order. Get an Oreo shirt.
Yeah, get an Oreo shirt.
You'll like it.
Yeah, everybody likes Oreo, right?
That's great. I even have Wood Talk shirts.
Except
now,
for that
too.
one guy who told me he's becoming a distraction in my videos.
That's why I made Oreo shirts.
Yeah.
I'm doubling
he
down.
inspired the creation of those shirts. So keep an eye out today. In fact, when I'm done here, I'm going to go start prepping the post. We're going to get that video out today with Ava's Vanity. If you have the guild course on Ava's Vanity, you still may want to watch this. It's kind of a
that'd be
different
fun.
take. I go off on a few tangents, and it's a little bit more narrative than my usual
Yeah.
stuff. I talk
About Cherry?
I talk about the silliness of saying that Cherry's out of style. What else do I talk about? A little bit of parenting.
We have a whole conversation about who determines what's in style.
Yeah, who makes the call?
Who makes that call?
Who starts the process of saying, like, what colors are this year's Sherwin-Williams
Yeah,
colors?
yeah.
I mean, obviously Sherwin-Williams does.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But this is called people making crap up and then other people going, okay.
Okay.
If you
That
say
looks good.
so.
I
All
like
right.
that.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Doug wants to know. Oh, actually, before I get to Doug, Ben is in the chat. I use WD-40 to get off screen.
Oh, okay. Well, WD-40 sounds a lot more fun than acetone.
Yeah.
I mean, neither of them are fun.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'll take
Yeah.
WD-40 over acetone any day.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Yeah, give that a shot.
Bobby C, thank you. He
Thanks,
said,
Bobby.
Mark, go get a Dunkin' coffee on me.
I think I might. I am coffee-less this morning.
I need the coffees.
I had 1 cup before I left the house, and that was it.
Doug wanted to know how the stats on the new Guild platform is going. I'm assuming you're talking about Guild Plus.
Well, I'll send him the profit and loss sheet when we're done here, and Doug can do his
I'm
research.
really enjoying it. Right now, if you're in Guild Plus, which you don't have to own a course to do Guild Plus.
Yeah, you can become a subscriber.
You can just become a subscriber. Right now, the Miter Station is streaming, so it's in your library. You get the plans and everything.
Yep, got about a week left on that.
Got about a week left on that, and then it switches over to the Breadbox course, and then you can watch the Breadbox course as much as you want until the end of November.
Yep.
And then you have your Woodworking America demo that we have planned.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, so my demo on hybrid woodworking, that's
Yep.
the next live demo that's coming up. We've got an interview with Ashley Harwood on the docket.
he's really beefed up the interviews. It's actually a video of the interview because it used to be just audio, right?
It was also like 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah, it was 10 years ago.
It's not me that beef things up. It's everyone else has access to equipment that we can do this now.
Yeah. So-
We have an interview with Caleb James in there. And speaking of Caleb James,
Yep.
probably should have mentioned it at the top of the show.
Probably.
His dry bar cube, that is coming out on November 1st.
November 1st.
Right, so it's still in pre-order now. You guys can still get that low price. Jump on it. Caleb is awesome. He's so fun
If you're
to
waiting
watch.
for the watch party, that's on Wednesday. So the watch party is like you'll get a episode, a little preview of it, and a chance. He probably will be in the chat.
He usually
Yeah,
does.
he does show up.
I recall. So yeah, keep an eye out for that on Wednesday. It's all free and open. Anybody can go watch it, and it's a full episode from the series.
Yep.
The idea being, we want you to see what guild courses are like and why they're different.
Yeah.
So
Then
the only way to do that is to actually see a full episode, even if it's like in the middle of the series.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, David. He said, "So happy you're back doing the morning show again. You were
thanks,
missed."
Dave. Appreciate that, man.
I missed it too.
We missed doing it. I just got a
Yep.
buzz in the driveway.
And then Chad Green, can you describe the wood block on your miter saw just behind the fence that interacts with the blade? Why did you do this?
Just
wood block.
Google it, Chad. Google cauliflower capex.
Cauliflower cape.
Yeah, cauliflower, like the vegetable,
Vegetable.
and that will give you the information you need. It's an add-on. It's a fence replacement for the capex. It uses a 4x4 block as the zero clearance in the middle, and that little block is replaceable. And it is literally a 4x4, like a post from Home Depot. You can just cut it up and you have like 20 of them. So the reason I like that is because you have a nice rigid metal fence to reference your work off of, and then you still have the zero clearance that's behind the plane of the front fence. If you do what I did in the past with the regular festool fence and you put, let's say, 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch sacrificial material to create your zero clearance, that works, but it also eats up a 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch of capacity on your saw. So this is a fence system that allows you to use the full capacity of the saw while still getting wooden zero clearance where the blade makes contact. So that's the advantage of it, and it is not something I've made. It's a product from Cauliflower.
Cauliflower.
Yeah. It's actually, I think the guy's name is Jack Cauliflower.
Neat. Brian wants to know when the next Wood Talk is. Didn't you just release one?
Well, we released one last week.
Speaking of,
we
if
have
you're
one this week.
If you are
Next week.
subscribed to Wood Talk and you haven't been getting the episodes, unsubscribe, resubscribe. There's like a weird glitch going on with the feed.
So many people are like, "Oh, you're selling T-shirts, but you don't do the show anymore." I'm like, "Oh God, that hurts. Oh, it hurts so bad," because we're doing the show and you're not hearing it.
It's been weeks.
We didn't stop doing the show
Yeah.
since the last time we quit.
Right.
It was a while ago. But like even after Rockler, we basically took a little summer vacation
Yeah.
after the Rockler thing.
But you forgot to post the episode.
Yeah, I forgot to post the last episode. Oopsie. Either way, Wood Talk is back. It's been back. But go refresh your feeds and unsubscribe and resubscribe, and that should jostle it loose. We're also on YouTube with Wood Talk now, so if you want to see that, it's actually fun to watch because Todd will throw in like relevant B-roll and stuff that is relevant to what we're talking about, and then you get to see our 3 beautiful faces the whole time, which is glorious.
Well, I like it because then I can take little clips from it and put it into social as well.
Right.
Yes. All right, I think that does it. Oh, Phoenix just wanted to tell you that your facts of life was hilarious in the new professor video.
Thank you. Hold on, you got to post David's comment. Anytime someone agrees with me, we have to celebrate.
Yeah, David.
Yep, nice job. He's saying basically that the track saw, it's like running in sand.
Yeah.
And with that, my victory sound.
There you go, David. That was for you.
Let's get out of
thanks
here.
for hanging out with us this morning. We will be back next Friday. It'll be officially November 1st. So it's going to be a busy day because you have Caleb's project to release on the Guild.
I just wanted to give you eye contact and make you feel very uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Alrighty.
We appreciate you watching and hanging out with us. Have a wonderful weekend.
Happy Halloween!
Yeah, I guess Halloween's going to happen.
Yeah, this is
before
my
the next
Halloween
show, right?
shirt. Yep.
Okay.
And that'll be fun.
Yep, nobody took my bait today. All right,
What was
fine.
your bait?
My t-shirt.
Oh, nobody took your bait.
No, all right. Well, I guess.
Shame.
Too bad. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye!
Bye.